Em nome de Jesus, se liberte agora. Receba do Senhor a unção de vitória. Coloque sua fé em ação e segure firme nas mãos do Senhor Jesus.
Hello, my friends. I hope you are doing great. It's a pleasure for us to be able to share the message with you through this channel. Today, I would like to speak to you about 2 Samuel chapter 9. 2 Samuel chapter 9, from verse 1 to verse 6. The Bible teaches us something here very profound, very good for us to learn. In fact, it goes until verse 13, from verse 1 to verse 13. There is this man called Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth, he was the descendant of King Saul. Nothing interesting in that. He was a descendant of King Saul. But what is good to know here is that Mephibosheth, he was living in Lodebar. Lodebar. What is Lodebar? Lodebar is a place. I was searching the meaning of this town. It is like a poor place, because the grounds in those days, and talk about these days here, it was very dry. The people, they could not plant because it was really difficult to reap something in Lodebar. Then we can start to imagine how poor the place was. So this man, Mephibosheth, he was living there. Many people, they are living in poor place. So his life wasn't different than many people nowadays. Yet he was crippled. Why was he crippled? Because when King Saul was killed, Jonathan and the other children of King Saul, the other sons, were killed. The lady who was taking care of this descendant of King Saul, when she heard that the grandfather was dead, the father was dead, the uncles were dead, she tried to protect him. She grasped him and ran, but he slipped out of her hands, fell down, he broke his legs, and he became crippled. So now you know the story of this man. He was crippled, living in a very poor place. But who was taking care of him? There was a kind man, if I'm not mistaken, his name was Makir, and he was taking care of this descendant of King Saul, this Jonathan's son. He was taking care. And that was the situation of Mephibosheth. Crippled, poor, living depending on other people's favor, and so on. But he didn't know that far away from there was a man called King David. A man according to God, according to God's heart, who asked one of his workers, tell me, is there someone from the house of King Saul? You, Ziba, you worked for him so many years. And this worker said, yes, there is one. He's the son of Jonathan. David, in that moment, he was so happy to know that there was a descendant of his friend Jonathan, and he could show kindness. Now imagine, think with me, David sent someone to call Mephibosheth to him, to the palace. When he came, he knelt before David. He knelt before David. He was humble. And David said, no, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Because in that moment came into his mind, this guy, he killed my grandfather. And it wasn't David. He thought that was David. But he humbled himself. And David said, do you know what? I'm gonna give to you all the lands that belonged to your grandfather. Now think. All the land that belonged to your grandfather. King Saul, he didn't have just small plots. He was rich, he was the king. So now, David was saying this. Oh, Mephibosheth, I'm taking you from the dust, from the ground, and I'm making you rich today. And he called Ziba and said, Ziba, from now on, you are going to farm the farm of Mephibosheth. Make it to produce. Bring it to him, not to me. Bring it to him. But him, Mephibosheth, he's going to sit at the table as one of my son. Ah, my friend, now imagine someone who is living misery, in poverty, crippled, despised, feeling like a strange. And he receives an invitation to sit at the king's table. Imagine the heart of this man, Mephibosheth. Imagine his heart. And that's what Jesus wants to do with you. I want so much, because our time here is short, I want so much if you could meditate. 2 Samuel chapter 9, from verse 1 until verse 13. In the same way that David, he invited Mephibosheth for a change in his life, Jesus, he's calling you also for a change in your life. No matter the way you are living, the king is calling you to be like one of his son. And I'm here to tell you this. No matter how you are living, the king is calling you. I'm going to come back with the next message, which will be in the book of Luke chapter 14. Luke chapter 14. If you are watching this message, don't miss the next message, which is going to be on the book of Luke chapter 14. See you next time. I'm Pastor Osmar Silva. God bless you. Bye-bye.